let's talk about our Fighter of the Year. So, Fighter of the Year, you have a lot of nominations for this. Top nomination, I think everybody's probably going to give it to him, is Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira defended his belt 3 times this year against Yuri Prochazka, Jamal Hill, and Khalil Roundtree. Prochazka and Hill, some of the best fighters in light heavyweight in the last 5 years. Khalil Roundtree just kind of made his way up there, but put on an awesome performance. And I think the real merit that you can give Pereira for these defenses is that he took a lot of them on short notice, and he did great work, man. Pereira is a monster. I wouldn't be shocked if they named him as like the biggest star of the UFC right now. It certainly feels that way, Shama. So certainly deserves our Fighter of the Year nomination. Next, you have Ilia Topuria for knocking out Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway both in the same year. Just insane, dude. I mean, those are 2 of the greatest fighters in MMA history, and the 2 greatest fighters in featherweight history, in my opinion. I mean, you know, Aldo as well, of course, but those are 2 of the 3 best, and Topuria knocked them both out this year. To be the first person to knock out Max Holloway, that deserves an award in its own right, but, you know, starting the year off getting that knockout victory over Volkanovski. Say what you will about the short notice nature of the fight, or relatively short notice nature, but Topuria was able to find that knockout and had a really good performance in that fight. And he certainly deserves nomination for Fighter of the Year. Next, you have Merab Dvalishvili. He beat Henry Cejudo and he beat Sean O'Malley. Now, the Henry Cejudo fight was an absolute barn burner. The Sean O'Malley fight, not a barn burner by any stretch of the imagination, but an incredibly well-designed and well-executed game plan from Merab Dvalishvili, and in my opinion, that earns him the nomination for Fighter of the Year. Next, you have Dricus du Plessis, who won the belt against Sean Strickland and then beat Israel Adesanya later in the year. 2 huge wins over, you know, the last 2 guys to hold the middleweight belt, so certainly deserves a nomination for Fighter of the Year there. The guys had an awesome 2024. And last but not least, Diego Lopez. Now, Diego Lopez is different than the other guys on this list because he's not a champion right now, but he's had an incredible year, man. A lot of finishes, a lot of huge fights, and finishing out the year with that victory over Brian Ortega, where he knocked him out and then woke him up with his punches in the same combination. It was insane. And then just kind of beat the piss out of him for the next 2 rounds. Diego Lopez certainly deserves a shout out for Fighter of the Year, but in my opinion will probably likely get the breakout Fighter of the Year more likely than anything. Now, let's give it up to our Fighter of the Year for this year. We are giving Fighter of the Year to Ilia Topuria. You got it, man. You got it. I mean, come on, bro. If you knock out the two of the 3 consensus GOATs of your division, and they're still in their prime. I mean, you know, you could say what you will about Holloway or Volkanovski not being in their prime anymore. They are still in their prime. They still beat 99% of featherweights, but the 1% that they can't beat is named Ilia Topuria. So Ilia Topuria gets our nomination and our award for Fighter of the Year for 2024. Alex Pereira, very, very close second.